Avram, we were talking in the green room earlier of how in conflicted parts of the world, and maybe all of the world is conflicted these days, we have to find ways to move from trauma to trust. Now, your football team just won an award. Just tell us briefly how Hapoel has been part of a process of getting people to make that crucial move from trauma to trust.
I believe there are a couple of ingredients that are necessary in order to make the move. The first one is recognition. To recognize that you are in a state of trauma. Sometimes your nemesis, your adversary in a state of trauma, and instead of negating, is accepting and containing. It is not for the Palestinians to come and say, Avram, you know, when you established the state of Israel, we were traumatized, and I say, yours is trauma? Wait till you see mine. Mine is bigger. It's not about a competition of traumas, but containing and respecting and addressing the fears coming out of the trauma. So the first is the recognition. The second is a kind of a vision. I'm privileged in this project to have 3 fantastic prophets who taught me that actually something I knew when I was young and I forgot when I became a politician, that the future belongs to kids. Part of the compensation to world conflicts is enhancing and intensifying and supporting world social mobilizers, which are sports and music.
So in the 21st century, the color line is still with us, but I think we actually have a bigger challenge, and that is the challenge of what I would call the faith line. And of course, the biggest mistake we can get when it comes to the faith line is looking at it as if it divides Muslims from Christians, right? Huntington's Clash of Civilizations, or believers from non-believers. And what civil society efforts, sports, for the Interfaith Youth Corps, its service projects, what it allows us to do is reframe the us versus them, right? Us are the people who want to build a society where those of different backgrounds live in equal dignity and mutual loyalty. And we show that by playing football together. We show that by engaging in an interfaith service project together. Them are the people who want their group to dominate and everyone else to suffocate, right? Everybody can be part of the us. If you pray in Hebrew, you can be part of the us. If you pray in Arabic, you can be part of the us. If you don't pray at all, you can be part of the us. You just have to sign up for this ethic of pluralism, and you have to be willing to build it.
I don't think it would be controversial to say that politicians, in relation to the role of the mosque in Lower Manhattan, have not exactly distinguished themselves over the last couple of months.
Right.
Who have?
I think Michael Bloomberg has.
Right.
I think the governor of New Jersey did. I think that President Obama at times has. I think Mayor Daley frequently distinguishes himself on these issues.
And what can civil society do?
So again, I think that civil society should offer arrangements of people from different backgrounds living in mutual enrichment as opposed to mutual exclusivity, right? I mean, I think about this young, so let me give you an example of this. Too often, when you say to a Westerner, think of a Muslim, the first image that comes to their mind is Osama bin Laden, right? I actually think there's another great image that ought to come to people's minds, which is the greatest sports icon of the American 20th century, Muhammad Ali. That's a Muslim, right? This guy who hears about a Jewish nursing home that might be closing because of lack of funds and says, I'll write the check, right? That's Islam, in my view.
I'd like to touch down.
Right.
I mean, we're so high, so let me try to touch down. My late father was one of the elders of the tribe of Israel, and he was a funny and a great man, and he always said that democracy is like lovemaking. When it's good, it's very good. When it's bad, it's also good.
Right.
Now, yeah, he was an old man. What does he know about democracy, okay? Political system, at least in our realm, in democracies, cannot live without us. So how do you educate the voters? How do you educate the citizen? How do you make the individual, a one who knows what to demand. For me, a threat to democracy is a voter who is an idiot. Okay? Now, I look at sports. Comes a kid to our project. Sometimes our coach is the first positive grown-up he ever met in his life.
Right.
He has to cooperate in a teamwork. He has to work together. He has to respect bylaws, some discipline, some appearance,
Yes.
some dignity, some inner self built through these processes. And this is where we try to build a better individual who will know I will never give the power to any politician who will try to confiscate my basic rights from me. Rights of expression, freedom of speech, birthrights which are given to me because I'm a human being.
Right.
And part of what we have to do is, yes, to understand the bigger picture, but to supply the jigsaw puzzles that make the bigger picture ours rather than somebody else.
An uncomfortable time to be Muslim in the United States right now, in a way in which, frankly, it was probably similar being Jewish in the United States in the 1930s or Catholic in the 1890s, right? The wonderful thing about America is I believe that when the faces of intolerance are revealed, as they have been in the past few months, the forces of inclusion go into action. We have history lesson after history lesson on that in this country, but it is not inevitable, which is why I think that organizations like the Interfaith Youth Core, movements like Beyond Sport, have to take the issue of how people from diverse religious backgrounds are going to live together seriously. Just like previous generations inspired young people to be environmentalists or human rights activists or civil rights leaders, I think we need a critical mass of young people who look at themselves as interfaith leaders and are committed to building interfaith cooperation in a world otherwise convinced of the clash of civilizations.
My late grandfather was the chief rabbi of Hebron. At the time, unlike today, rabbis did not have much money. So they rented an apartment from an Arab landlord that at his old age bought a new wife from Turkey. And this old wife of his gave him two children, two sons. A day will come that the eldest son, Shaker, was very sick. There was no penicillin, no antibiotics, none whatsoever. And the doctors gave up on him. They say he will not survive the night. My grandfather was sitting next to his bed and was praying all night long. And I think it was the first time since the Sinai revelation that God seriously listened to a rabbi. And in the morning, the kid was okay. She never forgot it. Here we come to July 29, the most important event that shaped the future of relations between Jews and Palestinians in the Middle East. There were massacres all over the place, and it was a very bitter, bloody massacre in Hebron as well. Dozens of people were killed. When the mobsters were moving down the street and chanting, Edbah al-Yahud, Edbah al-Yahud, slaughter the Jews, slaughter the Jews, the Jewish street was equally divided. 50% of the street went to my uncle's place. He was a prominent young man, a member of the municipal council, etc., etc. They say he is respected, they will never touch him. Half of the street said, listen, in times like these, Jews go to God, Jews goes to the rabbi, and went to my grandfather's place, my young mother as well. But the Turkish lady sent the Shaka, her son, to the vineyard. They said, bring the old man home immediately. He ran to the vineyards, brought back Abu Shakar, the father. She put him at the door gate and told him, don't you dare to let anybody harm my Jews. By the end of the day, everybody who went to my uncle's place, but two 2-year-old kids who were buried under the bodies were slaughtered, and everybody who went to my grandfather's place was saved by this individual Palestinian and his Turkish wife, who are righteous among the nations, and I owe my life to them. Ever since, my family is equally divided. 50% of my family will never trust nobody, Arab and non-Arab alike. And 50% of my family, my sisters and my nephews, all of those who are descendants of those who were saved, are absolutely, totally unequivocally committed to reconciliation. This is how it works.
Eboo, Avram, thank you very much.